corn, cattle, and cotton raisers, and nearly everyone else in Texas benefited from the arrival of the railroad. This new age came roaring in with the sound of hissing steam, clanging bells, and the howl of whistles as trains crossed the Lone Star landscape. Like any massive capital enterprise, railroads required financial help and incentives, and the Texas government had certainly seen to that. Outsiders began to buy Texas lines and expand them. Jay Gould, born the same year as Texas declared its independence, was already famous as a shrewd, ruthless, and sometimes shady businessman. After success with railroads in the Midwest and his acquisition of the famous Union Pacific line, he turned his attention toward Texas after acquiring the Texas Pacific Railroad. Collis P. Huntington, owner of the Southern Pacific Railroad, also led the charge to cross Texas. These two New Yorkers agreed to a junction of their lines at what would become Sierra Blanca in the Trans-Pecos before continuing together to El Paso. The Houston and Texas Central Railroad stretched north from Houston to Corsicana, then up through Dallas to the Red River, where it connected with the Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Railroad coming out of Kansas City through the town of Denison. By 1880, more than 2,500 miles of track was laid. After that, railroad construction really took off. Teams of gandy dancers, slang for work crews, laid more than 6,000 miles of track, especially in 1881, 1882, and 1887. By the end of the decade, 2 transcontinental railroad routes stretched across Texas. One approximated the present course of Interstate 20, while the other followed a route later covered by Interstate 10. Texas now had a northern and southern route connecting it to the east and west. Railroad tracks also reached Laredo in 1881, and the town flourished. Rails connected to the Mexican railways across the Rio Grande, turning the once isolated town into a bustling international gateway. New residents moved in. Old-timers in town met and often competed with new neighbors that came from the various parts of the United States and Europe. People also followed the railroads out to West Texas. New towns sprang up every 20 miles or so where work camps had been located and had built water tanks for filling thirsty steam locomotives. Towns like Abilene sprang up on the open prairies in 1881, and it quickly became the largest town in Taylor County by 1883. Residents of smaller nearby towns like Belle Plaine and Buffalo Gap abandoned their earlier plans and relocated near the rails. Some died out, others shrank. Many new towns replaced these early settlements, but these latest villages bore the names of railroad employees and investors instead of early pioneers like in the old days. Before the railroad, the availability of wood, water, and pastures determined where Texans lived. These resources were in short supply the further west in the state people went. As a result, West Texas and the Panhandle had remained largely empty. The railroad changed all that. Water, wood, and feed could all be shipped to these once remote stretches. Railroad companies also looked for useful resources along their routes. Coal was particularly important as it fueled the boilers that made the steam that drove the locomotive. In East Texas, many miles of track now penetrated into the deep forest, spurring industrial development of timberland, which would be useful for lumber used in buildings as well as cross ties used on tracks. Catching this railroad fever, West Texas and South Texas ranchers worked hard to get tracks leading to their cattle pens. The ability to ship cattle could make or break their operation. All this new industry and connectivity attracted even more people to Texas.